So, children, today I am going to explain you first scene of Act 3. Act 3, 4, 5, which are there in the syllabus for class 10 this year. Today, let me explain you the first scene of Act 3. And this scene can be called that it is the scene where the plot begins to develop towards a crisis. Now, what is this crisis? Basically, the problem that is going to arose with Antonio due to that bond. We all know that in the beginning, in Act 1 only, the exposition of the play took place in which a Bond story initiated, and with that Bond story, it was there between Antonio and Shylock, where Antonio borrowed a sum of 3,000 ducats from Shylock, which he was supposed to pay within 3 months. And in case he was not able to pay, Shylock would be liable to take a pound of flesh from Antonio's body from whichever place he wants. Now, this scene is about the development of that crisis only. Why? Because here in this scene, through the conversation of Solanio and Salarino, first of all, we come to know that Antonio's shipwreck has taken place. And then Shylock will also enter the stage and we'll come to know about his intentions as well, right? So the scene begins with Solanio and Salarino, but before that, we need to understand where it takes place. It takes place in a street of Venice. The scene takes place in a street of Venice. Solanio and Salarino are there. Solanio says, now, what news on the Rialto? What is the news? Rialto is the stock exchange where these merchants used to sit and do transactions. So he asks about the news over there. Salarino says, why? Yet it lives under unchecked. It is still unchecked, means it is still not confirmed that Antonio hath a ship of rich lading, that Antonio had a ship of rich lading. Lading is like richly loaded ship. Okay, so you can say a kind of cargo, which was used for loading the goods and send them to different places. So, a ship of rich lading ragged on the narrow seas. The narrow seas here refer to the English Channel. Narrow seas here means English Channel. So now we come to know about the place where Antonio's ship has wrecked. So that is on the narrow seas, the English Channel. The Goodwins. Now, Goodwins is actually the Goodwin Sands. Okay, Goodwin Sands. Sands means kind of sandbank, which is near the mouth of the river Thames, and it is a place where so many shipwrecks take place, right? So now Salarino is giving this information that there has been a news, though it is not yet confirmed, that Antonio has got a ship wrecked on the narrow seas, that is the Goodwins. I think they call the place, I think they call this place the Goodwins, a very dangerous flat. It is a very dangerous flat. Flat again refers to sandbank. It is a very dangerous sandbank and fatal, and very fatal also, dangerous also, where the carcasses of many a tall ship, carcasses means remains, ruins, or you can say wrecks of many a tall ship lie buried. As they say, as people say, if my gossip report be an honest woman of her word. Now, gossip report, he is personifying here as a talkative woman's rumor, right? The way a rumor is spread by talkative women. So, he is personifying gossip report here. He says, if the gossip report is an honest woman, means if it is not a rumor, because it is yet unconfirmed that Antonio has got a shipwreck on the narrow seas, and the place where it has happened is the Goodwins, which is famous. It is a very dangerous place. It is a very dangerous sandbank, and it is famous that many ships, lie buried over there because the remains or the carcasses of many ships can be found over there. For that, Solanio says, I would means I wish. I wish she were as lying a gossip in that as ever nabbed Ginger or made her neighbors believe she wept for the death of a third husband. Now, when Salarino personifies gossip report and wishes that if she's an honest woman, so for that Salarino says, I wish she is not honest and she were lying a gossip in that as ever nabbed Ginger. Nabbed means chewed ginger, as ever chewed ginger or made her neighbors believe. Now, you see, please understand why these references are given. Napping ginger, chewing ginger. Actually, in Elizabethan drama, old people are said to eat ginger, perhaps to keep their stomachs warm or to aid digestion, whatever the reason. But old people were supposed to chew ginger. And so he wants that the gossip report should be lying a gossip, the way as ever napped ginger, as being a woman, a young woman, she cannot chew ginger, and made her neighbors believe she wept for the death of a third husband. And similarly, he wants her to be lying like a woman who is crying over the death of her third husband, as if she is so sad. How can she be sad, you see, when she has married thrice, over the death of her husband? So these references he makes to prove that this gossip report should not be true. He wishes that, actually, not proves, he wishes that. But it is true, without any slips of prolixity. Slips of prolixity means without using long and tedious phrases, right? Without using long and tedious speeches. He says, means in brief, he wants to say, or crossing the plain highway of the talk, or deviating from the straight path, coming to the point, that the good Antonio, the honest Antonio, oh, that I had a title good enough to keep his name company. And then suddenly there is, you can see this long dash means it is a pause. Why? Because he is suddenly interrupted by Salarino. So Salarino was saying something about Antonio, and he was saying that, you see, without using long and tedious speeches and just coming straight to the point, there is a fact, there is a truth, that good Antonio, honest Antonio, he's such a good person, what else title can I give to him? Then suddenly Salarino says, come, the full stop, stop it, get to the end of your story. Salarino says, how, what's this thou, what happened, why? The end is, he hath lost a ship. The end is, the end of my story is, it is true that Antonio has lost a ship. It means that the news which was not yet confirmed, now he confirms it. Solano confirms it, that he has actually lost a ship. For that, Salarino says, I wish it might prove the end of his losses. काश ये उसके losses का अंत हो. मतलब he should not lose any other ship after this. Salarino says, let me say amen betimes. Meanwhile, let me say amen. Betimes means immediately. Let me say amen immediately, lest otherwise the devil cross my prayer. For here he comes in the likeness of a Jew. Why likeness of a Jew? Because actually Jews were supposed to be very shrewd, Uh, they were very shrewd, and Christians never liked them. So that's why Salanio says, let me say amen immediately, otherwise this devil will cross my prayer. And whom is he referring to as the devil? Shylock himself, because Shylock was coming over there, and he says that he comes in the likeness of a Jew. So he must be angry at that time. He must be, looking shrewd at that time. So enter Shylock. That time Shylock enters over there. Now he asks, how now, Shylock? What news among the merchants? How are you? What is the news among the merchants? Now Shylock is very offended at this moment. Please understand. He is offended for two reasons, especially the main reason is Jessica's elopement. Okay, Jessica's elopement, and also his belief that Bassanio and Antonio have helped Lorenzo in Jessica's elopement, right? Because they all are friends. So Shylock somehow believes it, though he tried to make it out. I explained you in previous scenes also, but that was not possible, because by the time he reached there with the Duke, they had already left from there. But he still believes that Lorenzo was there in Bassanio's ship, right? So he is under that, he's under that, he has this notion in his mind. Now, at the same time, he must have also heard about Antonio's shipwreck. So, in a way, he also knows that now his money is going to be lost, which he has given to Antonio. So for that, now you see, Salanio just wants to have an idea about Shylock's intention, like what does he have to say about Antonio's loss. So for that, he asks, "What news among the merchants?" Shylock says, "You knew none so well as you of my daughter's flight. You know it very well, none so well. You know it very well. The news is about my daughter's flight. Flight is the escape, that she has escaped. The news is this, and you know it very well." Salino says, "That's certain, that's for sure. I, for my part, knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal. I, for my part, as far as I am concerned, I also know the tailor who made the wings with which she flew. I also know the tailor, with all means with, who made the wings with which she flew." So he is actually referring to Lorenzo over here, right? That I also know the person with whom she has escaped. So for that, Salanio says, "And Shylock, for his own part, knew the bird was fledged, and then it is the complexion of them all to leave the dam." And Shylock, for his own part, knew. So he says, "I know, as far as I am concerned, for my part, I know the tailor who made those wings with which she flew." For that, Salanio says, "And Shylock, for his own part, knew." And Shylock also knew it very well, that the bird was flesh. Flesh means it was mature, ready to fly. The bird was ready to fly, and it is the complexion of them. Complexion means nature of them here refer to birds, all to leave the dam. Dam is the mother. So it is the nature of birds, once they learn to fly, they always leave their mother. So Jessica, being a girl, had to get married one day. So what if she has escaped? Ultimately she had to leave you. For that, Shylock says, "She's damned for it. She'll go to hell for it. She will be damned for doing so." Salarino says, "That's certain. If the devil may be her judge, she can be damned if the devil is her judge." He is referring to Shylock only. If Shylock is her judge, only in that condition she'll be damned. Shylock says, "My own flesh and blood to rebel. My own flesh and blood to rebel" means she had been rebellious to me, who is my own flesh and blood. Solanio says, "Out upon it, old carrion, rebels it at these years." Now, you see, this line is not in your syllabus, so you need not to do it. So when Shylock says, "My own flesh and blood to rebel," Salarino says, "There is more difference between thy flesh and hers than between jet and ivory." So, and see, this is speech somehow, it was there in last year's papers also. He says, "There is more difference between thy flesh, your flesh, and hers, and her flesh, than between jet and ivory." Jet and ivory means black and white. The way there is difference between black and white, the same kind of difference is there between your flesh and her flesh. More between your bloods than there is between red wine and Rhenish. And as far as the difference of blood is concerned, the difference is exactly like that which is there between red wine, which is a cheap common wine, right? And cheap and common, and Rhenish. Rhenish is expensive white German wine, right? So Rhenish is expensive white German wine. So what is he trying to say? So, when Shylock says na, that my own flesh and blood to rebel, to go against me, for that Salarino says, there is a lot of difference between your flesh and her flesh, that is like black and white. And similarly, there is a lot of difference between the bloods also, because that is like the difference between red wine and Rhenish. Red wine, which is very cheap and common, and Rhenish, which is expensive white German wine. But tell us, do you hear whether Antonio have had any loss at sea or no? Now he wants to further inquire about Antonio's news that his ship has been wrecked. So he asked him, "Do you know anything about that loss which Antonio had?" Shylock says, "There I have another bad match. There I have another bad match. This is another reason for which he is offended. A bankrupt, a prodigal, who dares scarce show his head on the Rialto, a beggar that was used to come so smug upon the mart." Now he says, I have another bad match. Match here refers to any transaction or business bargain, you know. Here I have another bad bargain, another business transaction. A bankrupt. It is bankrupt here. Okay. So a bankrupt, a prodigal. So he is referring to Antonio as the bankrupt and prodigal. Why bankrupt? Because he has become bankrupt after losing his ships. And why a prodigal? Because he is the one who used to spend money without thinking about it. Like he used to lend it to others without charging interest. Right? So he says that I again had another very bad business transaction. He refers to Antonio. He calls him a bankrupt, a prodigal, who dares scarce show his head, who can hardly show his head. Scarce means rarely show his head, show his face. Head here refers to face on the real toe. He is a bankrupt now. He's a prodigal now who can hardly show his head on the realtor. A beggar that was used to come so smug upon the mart. Now he has become a beggar who used to come so smug. Smug means self satisfied. He's a kind of beggar who was always so self satisfied with himself upon the mart. Mart is the exchange. He's referring to the realtor only. He says now he can hardly show his face over there because now he's a beggar. Once he used to be so self satisfied, now it is not possible for him to be there at Rialto because he is completely ruined. Let him look to his bond. Let him look to his bond. Look to means take care of his bond. He should be sure that he take cares of his bond. He takes care of his bond. He was wont to call me usurer. Want means habitual, accustomed. He was accustomed to call me usurer. वो अक्सर मुझे usurer कहा करता था. Usurer means a person who lends money to others on unfair rate of interest. Right? On unfair rate of interest. So he says that he was the one who used to call me usurer. Let him look to his bond. Let him take care of his bond. He was born to lend money for a Christian courtesy. He was a person who was accustomed, again, habitual to lend money for a Christian courtesy. Christian courtesy means as an act of charity, okay, as an act of Christian kindness, as an act of charity. Let him look to his bond. Let him take care of his bond. Salarino says, why? I am sure if he forfeit, thou will not take his flesh. What's that good for? I am sure if he forfeits means if he is not able to repay the bond, uh, uh, so after this, Salarino asks him why I am sure if he forfeit means if he forfeits the bond, if he is not able to repay the bond. Forfeit is like if he fails to pay in time, right? If he fails to repay the bond in time, uh, thou will not take his flesh. I am sure if he fails to repay the bond, you will not take his flesh. What's that good for? What is the use of that? All right. What's that good for? That means Antonio's flesh. What is Antonio's flesh good for? Sherlock says to bait fish withal. To bait fish withal. To use it as a bait for fishing. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. If it is not going to satisfy anything else, if it will feed means it if it will satisfy nothing else, it will satisfy my revenge, feeling of revenge. Now why is it that he wants to take revenge on him? Now he gives those reasons. He says he hath disgraced me. Disgraced means insulted me, defamed me, right? He has disgraced me and hindered me 500,000. Hindered means prevented me from earning 500,000. We already know that Sherlock is a very money minded person. So now he says that he prevented me from making 500,000 profit, 500,000 ducats. Laughed at my losses. He always made fun of my losses, mocked at my gains. He always made fun of my gains. Gains means profit. When he used to earn profit in form of interest, he always used to make fun of me. Scorned my nation. Scorned means hated my nation. He always hated my nation, my country. Thwarted my bargains. Thwarted means interfered. with my bargains. Bargains are business deals. He always interfered with my business deals. Cooled my friends means diminished my friends' affections, because of him, I had lesser friends. Heated my enemies. He always provoked my enemies. Heated means incited, provoked my enemies. And what's his reason? And what is the reason that he did all this for? I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? Now you see, why did he do all that? Only for a reason that I am a Jew. So, are Jews not like other human beings? Don't they have hands? Don't they have organs? Dimensions means limbs, senses, affections means feelings, passions. Fed with the same food, we are also fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons. Jews are also hurt with the same weapons the way Christians are, subject to the same diseases. We also get the same kinds of diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is. So he is just trying to make out that there is no difference between Christians and Jews. Then what is the reason for the Christians to discriminate with the Jews? Are Jews not human beings like them? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Uh, if you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? So if we are same in all other way with you, then if you wrong us means if you do anything wrong to us, should we not take revenge for that? If we are like you in the rest of the things, we will resemble you in that also. That means in taking revenge. If we are like you in rest of the things, so we will also resemble you in taking revenge. If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Humility, you can say, like, patience. Christians show humility, means Christians show patience. It was actually Christ's teaching that Christians are supposed to forgive their enemies and not to take revenge. So he says, but if a Jew wrongs a Christian, what is his humility? Does he show that courtesy? Revenge. No, he takes revenge. So if a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? So if Christian wrongs a Jew, what should his attitude be? If he is to be guided by the example which Christians give. Why? Revenge. That is going to be revenge only. The villainy you teach me, I will execute. I will execute the villainy which you have taught me. Villainy means the wicked behavior. The wickedness which you have taught me, I will execute, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instruction. And it will be hard, it will be worse because I'll better the instruction, because I'm going to improve the lesson that you have taught me. Now, at that time only, a man comes over there, who comes there from Antonio actually. So he says, the servant, serving man is the servant. Gentlemen, my master Antonio is at his house and desires to speak with you both. So he wants to speak to you both. Salarino says, we have been up and down to seek him. Even we wanted to see him. Now, at that time only, Tubal comes over there. Tubal is another Jew and he's Shylock's friend as well. So Salanio says, here comes another of the tribe. Now see, here comes another of the tribe. Another of the tribe means Jewish tribe. A third cannot be matched unless the devil himself turn Jew. There can't be anybody else like, there can't be any other person like the Jew equal to these two. Right? Then Salanio, and the servant, they exit from there. Now only Shylock and Tubal are left. Shylock says, how now, Tubal? What news from Geneva? So he must have sent Tubal to Geneva to seek his daughter, to search for his daughter. So he says, what news from there? Has thou found my daughter? Have you found my daughter? Tubal says, I often came means went. I often went where I did hear of her, but cannot find her. I often went to several places where I got some news about her, but I couldn't find her. Shylock, why? There. A diamond gone cost me 2,000 ducats in Frankfurt. The curse never fell upon our nation till now. I never felt it till now. Now you see, Shylock is very much frustrated, offended. He says, there means you have been to several places. A diamond gone, cost me 2000 ducats. My diamond is also lost. Now you see, from this we again are confused as readers whether he is more worried about his daughter or the money or his diamonds and ducats. The curse never fell upon our nation till now. Never before has the evil fate, means the curse, fallen upon our race, fallen upon our nation. Shylock is selfish. He looks upon his misfortunes as a blow to the Jewish race. So he says, I never felt it till now. I never felt such a misfortune till now. 2000 ducats in that, and other precious, precious jewels. I wish my daughter were dead at my foot, and the jewels in her ear. Would she were hearsed at my foot, and the ducats in her coffin. I wish she were hearsed. Hearsed means laid in her coffin. Laid in her coffin. That I wish she was laid in her coffin here at my foot, here in at my foot, and the ducats in her coffin. Now, from this, you can understand how mean he is, and how, like, can he be called father. He is not at all worried about his daughter, rather he wishes her daughter to die so that he can get his money back. No news of them? Why so? And I know not what spent in the search, and I don't know about the money that I've already spent in searching them. Why, thou loss upon loss? It's loss upon loss. The thief gone with so much, and so much to find the thief, and no satisfaction, no revenge, no ill luck stirring, but what's light on my shoulders, no sighs, but of my breathing, no tears, but of my shedding. Now you see, out of frustration, he says, the thief gone so much. He is calling his own daughter as the thief. The thief gone with so much, and so much to find the thief, and so much has been spent in finding the thief, and no satisfaction. And out of all that, I am not getting any satisfaction, no revenge, nor no ill luck stirring, but what lights on my shoulders. There has not been any bad luck, ill luck befalling, except what lands on my shoulders. No sighs, but of my breathing. There can't be any sighs except the sighs that I breathe right now. No tears, but of my shedding. There are no tears except those that I shed now. Tubal says, yes, other men have ill luck too. It's not that only you are misfortunate, there are other people also. Antonio, as I heard in Geneva, now you see, as soon as he talks about Antonio being unfortunate, he's so happy about it, right? So as soon as Tubal talks about Antonio being an unfortunate fellow, Shylock is becomes very excited, and he interrupts Tubal saying, "What? Ill luck, ill luck." Tubal says, "Hath an argosy cast away coming from Tripolis?" Yes, he had an argosy cast away. Cast away means wrecked, broken, coming from Tripolis, which was coming from Tripolis. I thank God. I thank God. Is it true? Is it true? Tubal says, I spoke with some of the sailors that escaped the wreck. The wreck means the shipwreck. There were some sailors who escaped the shipwreck, and I spoke to them, and they only informed me about it. Shylock, I thank thee. Good, Tubal. Good news, good news. Ha ha, heard in Geneva. Now you see, now, as soon as he talks about Geneva, again Tubal says, your daughter spent in Geneva, as I heard, one night, fourscore ducats. Now, in one night, in one single night, she spent fourscore, means 80 ducats. Now, you see, now suddenly, just now, Shylock was very happy as soon as he heard about the misfortune that Antonio has met. And suddenly, when he comes to know about this money that has been spent by his daughter, he suddenly becomes very sad. He says, thou stickest a dagger in me. I shall never see my gold again. Fourscore ducats at a sitting. Fourscore ducats. Right? Means you pierce a dagger into my body. This news is like piercing a dagger into my body. 80 ducats at a go. 80 ducats. Tubal says, now to make him happy again, Tubal again gives an information about Antonio. There came divers of Antonio's creditors, divers means several of Antonio's creditors in my company to Venice, that swear he cannot choose but break. Break here means break his bond, go bankrupt. So there were several creditors of Antonio who were there in my company while coming back to Venice, and they informed me that there is no other option left. There is no other choice except to go bankrupt for Antonio. Shylock says, I'm very glad of it. I'll plague him. Plague him means persecute him. I'll persecute him. I'll torture him. I'm glad of it. Tubal, one of them showed me a ring that he had of your daughter for a monkey, for exchange of monkey. Then one of those sailors, he showed me a ring which he got from your daughter in exchange of a monkey. Out upon her means shame upon her. Thou torturest me, Tubal. It was my turquoise. That ring, it had turquoise. I had it of Lay. Lay was his wife, actually, when I was a bachelor. I would not have given it for a wilderness of monkeys. But then Tubal says, but Antonio is certainly undone. But that undone means ruined. But it is for sure that Antonio is ruined. Shylock says, nah, that's true. That's very true. Go, Tubal. Fee me an officer. Hire me an officer. Officer means lawyer. Bespec him a fortnight before. It's better we should talk to him, book his service. Bespec means book his service a fortnight before, means 2 weeks before Antonio's day of forfeiture. I will have the heart of him if he forfeit. If he is not able to pay the bond, if he becomes liable for the penalty, then I will have heart of him. Just see how cruel he is. For were he out of Venice, I can make what merchandise I will. Because once he is out of Venice, and how can he be out of Venice? Because he can get rid of him when he is dead. Okay, so he is in a way trying to kill him. He says, when he is out of Venice, I can make what merchandise, whatever profit I wish to make. Go to Baal and meet me at a synagogue. Synagogue is their Jewish place of worship, Go at a synagogue to Baal. Synagogue is Jewish temple, right? So from this, we come to know about two, three things. Number one, first of all, we come to know about Antonio's shipwreck. Then we come to know about Shylock's ill intention. And we also come to know that how frustrated he is and what kind of person he is. You are getting so many points for his character sketch. I hope you have understood. Thank you.